Halloween, recognized today as a time for costumes, candy, and playful scares, is deeply rooted in ancient customs and beliefs. Over the centuries, its history has evolved, blending religious rituals, cultural traditions, and secular celebrations into the fun-filled holiday we know today. Long before modern-day trick-or-treaters roamed the streets in search of candy, ancient civilizations celebrated the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. The Celtic people of what is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France celebrated the festival of Samhain, held on October 31st, marking the end of summer and the start of the dark, cold winter, a time of year often associated with human death. The Celts believed that the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. On the night of Samhain, it was believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to the mortal world, damaging crops and causing chaos. Yet it was also a time when the presence of these spirits made it easier for druids or Celtic priests to make predictions about the future, essential for a people entirely dependent on the volatile natural world. To commemorate the event, druids built sacred bonfires, and people gathered to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to Celtic deities. During the festivities, they wore costumes, typically consisting of animal heads and skins, and tried to tell each other's fortunes. This is believed to be a precursor to modern Halloween costumes. As time passed and the Roman Empire conquered most of the Celtic territory, several festivals of Roman origin began to be incorporated into the celebration of Samhain. One such festival was Feralia, a day in late October when the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead. Another was a day to honor Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. Her symbol is the apple, which could have been incorporated into the celebration by the practice of apple bobbing. By the 9th century, Christianity's influence had spread into Celtic lands and it began to reshape Samhain, as it did with many older pagan traditions. November 1st was designated as All Saints' Day by Pope Gregory III, a time to honor saints and martyrs. This celebration was also known as All Hallows, and the night before, the traditional night of Samhain, began to be called All Hallows' Eve and eventually Halloween. As the centuries wore on, Halloween became a more community-centered holiday. In England, for example, it was a time for souling, where the poor would visit wealthy families and pray for their departed loved ones in exchange for soul cakes. This tradition in many ways is an antecedent to the modern trick-or-treat ritual. When European settlers, especially the Irish fleeing the potato famine of the 1840s, arrived in America, they brought their varied Halloween customs with them. Given the rigid Protestant belief systems in New England, the celebration was limited there. However, it was much more common in Maryland and the southern colonies, as the beliefs and customs of different European ethnic groups meshed with those of the Native Americans. A distinctly American version of Halloween began to emerge. In the 19th century, Halloween festivities included public events held to celebrate the harvest. Neighbors would share stories of the dead, tell each other's fortunes, dance, and sing. By the turn of the century, Halloween parties for both children and adults became the most common way to celebrate the day. Games, foods of the season, and festive costumes were all part of these parties. Yet as Halloween entered the 20th century, it shifted more towards a holiday aimed primarily at the young. Trick-or-treating, a practice where children would go door to door asking for food or money, became fully entrenched in the culture by the mid-20th century. This was a way for the community to share in the Halloween celebration, a time for neighbors to engage with one another and share treats. By the 1950s, Halloween had essentially become a holiday directed at the young, with parties and trick-or-treating being the main events. The commercialization of Halloween also blossomed in the 20th century. The holiday became a significant marketing bonanza, second only to Christmas in terms of sales. Costumes, candy, decorations, and even adult-oriented Halloween events began to spring up, reinforcing Halloween's status as a major cultural event. Today, Halloween is a patchwork of traditions, some ancient and some new. Its origins in the ancient festival of Samhain can still be seen in the modern practice of dressing up in costumes, carving pumpkins, and welcoming the supernatural. At the same time, it reflects the changes brought about by Christianity and American commercialism. In conclusion, Halloween's long and varied history is a testament to its enduring appeal. From ancient rituals honoring the dead to today's vibrant celebrations full of candy, costumes, and community events, Halloween remains a beloved fixture in many cultures around the world. As we don our costumes and venture out into the night, we are participating in a tradition that stretches back millennia, connecting us with our ancestors and the fundamental human fascination with the mysterious and the unknown.